Hello to the Chicos and the Chicas. This is another game from the ChandDDra Invitational. In the white trunks, we have the legendary C.L. Smith 2088 against Dan Bock, aka bold move by Dan 2042. Let's have a look at what happened in this one. The opening was the Tarash. Thank you, Blunder, for this. This
is amazing content. I'm glad I finally found this stream.
The biddies. Thank you, bud. Thank you. Rumor has it I put out quite valuable content, which is why no one is watching it. Right. E3, G3 is the main trend nowadays, alongside the immediate D takes C5, which, by the way, obviously does put a lot of pressure here. I think Dubov and Artemiev are the big guys of this, and they hold it like a champion with with black. It's a temporary pawn sack, you regain it like so, and they just hold this position like there was no tomorrow with black. Yeah, E3 is fine. E3 is fine. I'm not going to go hard on that. Bishop E2, C4. You played castles, which I'm cool with. Obviously, B3 is not playable here because of bishop B4. But it is a very committal move, C4 that is. So from here on out, we really need to follow the matching strategy of this pawn structure. And that means for white that we need to go for B3 ASAP. And bishop D6, in my book, is a mistake. And the reason for that is because it's incoherent with the C4 push. Because if after C4, B3, we can't play something like B5, A6 or A6, B5 and hold the chain, and we have to exchange on B3, then the whole pushing in story was a total waste of time and ruins the structure. So if you think in terms of structure and plans, and you go like, he wants B3, then your obvious developing move here is bishop B4. And I know that we want to attack here, but we can't put the cart before the horse. So here we must absolutely 100% deny, or at least delay, B3. And the theory here is bishop D2, and after castle C B3 again, you get to take and play knight E4 and then play B5, retaining the chain. For which reason, by the way, this line is really not that great. At the moment, it looks like it's not that great for white. So bishop D6 was a small positional error in my book. B3, take, perfect chess, castles. And that was the point when I was utterly shocked by the next move. Absolutely, utterly shocked. Because let's have a look at what we are going to play here for and how we accomplish it. And let's have a look at the value of our pieces. So black is struggling with holding the pawn, which is weak, and it's on a light square. Right? We have got, as a result of this pawn chain, a really crappy bishop on C1. Black's good bishop in the structure is the D6 one, which fires freely both ways. That is screaming bishop A3 here. And instead we play this absolute lemon bishop D2, which is the saddest move. So why are we not playing here bishop A3 C.L. Smith? So when you say that it didn't occur to you, that is, yeah, like I really can't relate to that, because I mean, isn't that obvious that this bishop has 3 legal moves, of which 2 make very little sense, and one is just like, hello? The only thing you need to look out for is whether knight A5 is hurting you or not, but after queen B2, it is just a complete positional crushing situation. So, as much as I would like to be going gentle on you, sir, like, I can't. On 2000 level, going like that was not part of my board vision is like, pfft, nah, that doesn't fly. Anyway, bishop D2 was played. Now I don't like the position too much, but it's still playable. Rook E8 was played. H3. Hello? Like, what is this, man? like these two moves hurt me a lot. And I don't know whether it was played because you were getting concerned about your time consumption, which is that we are now down to knight h2. Oh boy. Okay, so let's talk about some very basic stuff here, because even apparently on 2000 level, this becomes a regularly recurring problem. You are looking at this position and you are like, what are we doing here? Yeah. Now, h3 should not come up on your list at all as a natural candidate move, because it does bugger all. So when you find yourself in this loop of, I don't know what to do, so let's go doggy ears, because that's the guaranteed way that Coach ChandDDra is going to yell at me for like crazy, then you take a step back and you go like, have I completed development? Answer, no. Oh, okay then. Rooks haven't moved yet. Do they have an obvious square? Yes. Okay, what the hell am I doing with h3? And not only that, but you almost instantly gave yourself another move, which is going to be rook b1 potentially. Yeah, I know that he's saying h3, knight h2, bishop f3. Now, when I hear stuff like this, and I know that this is not really the most convincing way to bust this idea, but have you ever seen in your life, and I really hope that you have seen a lot of games, a single chess game, one, played by someone who was rated higher than 2200, where they played h3, followed by knight h2, followed by bishop f3, and that was good? And if your answer to that is yes, I'm gonna fall off this chair and never sit back up. No, that never happened in the history of humankind. And here is something else I tell you. As I played out these moves, knight h2, bishop f3, and I just passed with black, your position deteriorated from minus 0.1 to minus 0.8. So we are not making progress, but in fact we are murdering ourselves. I don't understand where this is coming from. It looks so utterly ugly that it ought to be bad. So remember, there is a guy who is analyzing this game who once upon a time wrote a chess course about center. And in that course, as well as in every single chess lesson I have, I tell my students that every single time you moved away from the center, you almost certainly make a mistake that you are going to regret. Like, if I was white after knight h2 in this position, I played king h8, in this position, if I was white, without a second hesitation, I would play knight f3. Not a second thinking. Now, once again, as for your plans, buddy, to give you something productive instead of hammering it too hard about how bad it is. So, you play rook c1, and you wait, pretty friend, because right now, and this is another thing that I already highlighted in the previous edition of the ChandDDra Invitational, very often people get absolutely tunnel visioned on what do I do, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do? And very often the best answer to that question is that you go like, actually, what is my opponent's next move? Because if you turn it around, first of all, you might find a move that is quite annoying, which gives you something to do. Or, like in this case, you might find that black does not have an obvious next move. Right? What is black's next move? Black would love to play here bishop g4 or bishop f5. Not doable because this pawn is hanging. So what are they actually doing next? And then you realize that actually, hang on, I might not have an obvious move, but neither do they. So I just continue developing. Good question, Yasu, about the rooks. I prefer rook c1 because another purpose of this rook move is that however ugly it may look, it often allows you to drop the bishop back here and still not disconnect the rooks. To put it in context, for example, now knight a4, knight c5 could become a plan. And when you abandon the center, bishop e1 followed by knight c5 will sort of fight it back. Wouldn't do that in a hurry, but it's a possibility. Likewise, after rook b1, I'm also concerned about bishop f5 being a tempo. I don't understand what that means, that you have a general worry about a piece landing on g4, because against any random move, bishop g4 loses instantly to queen b7, and knight g4 loses instantly to either take on d5. So, I'm sorry, but that just doesn't make sense. Once again, as per Professor Ben Feingold, who forgot to raid us again, you are preventing a blunder. Okay, h3... Yeah, this is utter lack of coherent plans. And now knight a5, b5, knight c4 is also hurting you. If I could just give you one piece of advice, Mr. Smith here, is that when you are stuck for ideas as to what to do, just don't go backwards. I don't care what you do. You shouldn't care what you do. Just do not go back. If you follow that concept, even if you don't know what to do, you will find that you are going to find better moves and put up more resistance than going. That's always the worst. And when you're stuck for ideas and you start playing backwards chess, that's when your life becomes increasingly harder and your opponent's life becomes increasingly easier. I don't care what you do, don't go back. On that note, rook c1 was still an attractive idea. Yeah, so what happened here, which was quite fascinating to me, was that I don't think we recognized the idea behind this move. So black play is very coherent, by the way, because what they do here is that, and I called it already during the game, a6, in strong contrast to h3, is a useful move. Because they want to do bishop c7, queen d6, but knight b5 hurts. Yeah? So you might have had the impression that, oh, they wasted a move too, so it's all good. That is actually a really useful move that fits into two different schemes. Bishop c7, queen d6, but also b5, knight a5, knight c4. h3 fits into no schemes whatsoever other than let's make their kingside attack even more painful for me. Which is case in point that if you hadn't played this, now you could go g3. Now, you had to go g3 and lose the game. Now, the irony is that this capture is too soon, and the intermezzo knight a5 would have kept this pawn alive as well. Very cool stuff. Do not cash in when you have a threat that is stronger than the execution. Let's create a new threat. Okay, bishop takes, and this is a red-hot mess. Like, this is not easy to win, in my opinion. Thank you, came O Demon. Take. I guess queen f6 was okay. King g2. And this is where a mysterious move took place that I didn't understand. During the analysis, I called out rook d8 and rook b8. Both of them make sense to me. In particular, rook b8, because it simply just goes like... well, this is no longer hanging, and I can move the knight. So, rook c8 almost looks to me like a mouse slip. And perhaps it was one. But I just couldn't possibly comprehend this move. Like, queen b7 is the threat. Now, rook d8 ignores it too, but that attacks the bishop on d5. So, rook b8 and d8... make perfect sense. Rook c8 looks like... Yeah, nah. I like, Rengao, how you are trying to support the blunders with logical ideas, but it doesn't make sense because after queen b7, it's like hanging. Yeah, but see, when you say things like you failed to consider rook b8, I would like to dig deeper. Because then I'm absolutely forced by nature to go like, but hang on, mate, there is a pawn hanging. Why don't you defend it? Right? Like, why are we considering rooks? What does rook c8 offer to you that makes it attractive enough for you to consider it? That is where, because there's no point in me conducting this analysis if I point out all the mistakes, right? Yeah, like, I don't know, again, what that means of having a mental block from putting a pawn behind a rook. Like, you wouldn't have that mental block if that was a mate in one, right? Or if it captured the free queen. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just weird. It's very weird. And, by the way, after queen b7, now we are clearly worse. And the irony was that you spent a minute. Spent a minute on this. So, yeah, that was very odd. Very odd. And now white is ahead. Okay, I didn't see this. Apparently rook c1 here is really strong. And you can't trade because bishop f3, where bishop takes wins. Wow, wow, wowie. I should have turned off the notification, by the way. One for good, thank you. Okay, we drop back. Queen b2, rook d1, queen a2. This was decent. a5. Yeah, c5 would have been a good square too to cover that. Block off the c file. And in general pretend to be useful. a4, queen b1, good chess. Take, take. Bishop d6. You won't believe it, but the engine slightly prefers white here. Rook b8, rook a1, correct. Bishop b4. Oh, wait. I'm following. I'm like, what is this? I followed the engine line there. So what happened instead was knight e5. Which actually loses almost by force to knight g6 and bishop e5 as well. Yeah, I know. Knight g6, queen c6. And yeah, that was like, hello, bishop takes e5 was winning on the spot. I was so shocked by this. Like queen c6 of all squares walking into right this head first. And we didn't take this. Yeah, but why? You had time. Yeah. Like, as soon as, mate, your opponent puts a queen on a discovery like this, you can't possibly just act too fast. That is, yeah, that's bad habits. Should I put that song on now? Probably not. Okay, take, take. Take. And that nearly cost you the game, by the way. a4, bishop b4. Rook e no good, bishop back. a3 good, bishop d5, queen b2 great, queen a7, bishop c7, queen a4. Rook b8 was fine. Queen d7, queen back. Actually, I didn't look at this during the game, but a2 is just winning here. And if they give you a check, you just go like, thank you. And then queen next. But I guess it's natural in time trouble to try to hang on to everything we have. Yeah, great chess. Oh boy, this tactical went past the keeper for me too. Lose. Actually, I don't know how this works. Have a look. Take, take. And we have got Matutsky. Oh, it's this, is it? Holy moly. And also the rook is loose. So we have got check takes next. Wowzers, guys. That is beautiful. Loose pieces drop off. I saw the idea of bishop takes g3 too, but I failed to calculate deeper. Now, black is on 23 seconds here, so this is more than excusable. Bishop d6. And I did call out here that you both blundered this. Which probably would have led to a draw. Queen d6, bishop f7. I did say that during the game analysis. Bishop g3 wins again for the same reason. And this is a practical advice for you, CL, that I wanted to mention. Oh, sorry, for Dan. That as soon as you played this, I went like, no, rookie error. Why wouldn't you go h5? I never understand this. Like, why would you play h6 when you can play h5? This is one of the worst habits of lower rated players that they've struggled to get out of. Like, this is a one purpose move. I don't want to get back rank mated. This is like a 5 purpose move where I want to get mated. I have h4, I have the g4 square covered. Like, there's so many benefits to playing h5 here instead of h6. And you will find that up to a certain rating level, not only they don't play this, but it's completely off their radar. Like, it's a swear word for them to play h5 instead of h6. Like, this is an absolute waste of a move compared to what h5 would have been. When you have h4 next, and if g4 you have an additional mate threat down there. And I see this every single time. Anyway, h6, bishop back, good defense. Let's go back to white side. Queen d5, queen g3. And that was really, really cool. I fell for this. I have a suspicion that both of you blundered this. I thought bishop g3 was the correct way to go about it, but then bishop e4. Far out, man. This turns out to be a blunder. I knew that you did. But black also blunders here because after king f1, there's too much hanging. And so now the game fizzles out into a draw. And here comes the tragic end. Queen back. And here apparently white is losing. I didn't realize this. I thought queen d5 just held it together. And I didn't understand why white didn't play it. And quite frankly, the refutation is not that obvious. Like, we just played the queen e4 and we threw away a free rook. And I was very surprised because we spent a fair bit of time on it too. And queen d5 in contrast would have kept both guarded, right? But it turns out it has a lovely refutation. So even if you had found it, it would have been over. Check here. And rook b5, with the idea of swinging across, is decisive. That was some epic stuff, gents. But there was a lot in that game that I think both of you should take to heart and consider, you know, for future games. So that was the second game of round 1 of the ChandDDra Invitational. For the YouTube viewers, thanks for watching. Don't forget to sub, to like, to super thank, and do all those funky things that make me happy. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.